King,
Here.
McDonald,
Here.
Kosake.
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. And this evening, our city manager, Peggy Flynn, will not be here for this session, and assistant city manager, Brian Cochran, will be sitting in for her tonight. So with that, can we move to the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we'll now have a moment of silence. Thank you. And there are no changes or deletions to the current agenda. And so now we will move to general public comment. These are for comments that are not on items that are on today's agenda. And I will ask the city clerk if you have received any general public comments.
Madam Mayor, we received one general public comment, which is posted to the website with the agenda packet.
Thank you. So I will ask the moderator to see if there's anybody in attendance at the meeting who would like to speak to general public comment.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At this time, members of the public wishing to speak on general public comments, so these are items not on the agenda, please raise your hand now. I am beginning the 30-second timer, at the end of which we will see how many members are speaking and divide the time accordingly. So just a reminder to please raise your hand in Zoom by pressing the raise hand button or *9 if you're participating by phone. Attendees will be muted when their time expires and when their comments have concluded, whichever comes first. And speakers are encouraged to be respectful. Threats of violence and obscenity are grounds for removal from the meeting. And if you're unable to speak during this time allotted, please send your comments to cityclerk@cityofpetaluma.org. We have one hand raised, and that is John Hanania. So I will reset the timer to 3 minutes. And I will unmute John, and you may unmute yourself and speak, John.
Good evening. Just imagine members of the community down at Lucchese Park looking at that little beautiful thing in the water with multiple color. And they say it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, swim like a duck, it must be a duck. But yet, if there's any member of the staff or any of you, 7 of you, say, no, it's an eagle, guess what? It's an eagle. There's no way in hell that's going to be a duck. And that's one of the biggest problem with you guys. You talk too much, you make promises, you don't deliver. I still haven't seen my documents. And I think you running around not giving me the documents. Eric Danley sent me something completely different than what I asked. Brian Barnacle said he is gonna look at it and have the staff send it. I haven't seen it. I sent Brian Barnacle 2 different messages and completely what I asked for, and I'll ask again. I want the proposed estimate for repair at the police department for $500,000 in full detail. I do believe Peggy Flynn was not being truthful to the community or to you. And as they say here in America, the person got caught with their pants down. And that's exactly what happened with her. She is wishy-washy. She said that the repair is improvement. And when Brian Barnacle start asking questions, she completely changed her mind. It's a safety hazard, it's emergency. Well, why am I not receiving the documents? Dave King talked about, that you guys listen to the public and the public listen to you. Well, Dave King, you're an attorney. Where's my document? There's rules and regulation. Teresa Barrett, she goes and asks Eric Danley, what do I need to do? I appreciate your effort, Teresa, but this might be a shock to you. I know the rules and regulation more than any of you, if not all of you put together. I try to do things by policy. The ones who doesn't follow policy, it's you. You guys don't follow the policy. You guys are pure hypocrites. You guys are worse than dictators. Okay, you behave like bullies, but you don't see that. But you don't like it when someone like me call you on your own crap. You don't like that at all. You get all bent out of shape. You want somebody kiss your behind. You want somebody tell you you're doing a good job, as you guys doing time and time again to your staff. Think about that. I need my documents. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, and that is the only hand we had raised. So back to you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we'll close public comment, general public comment, and go to council comment. And I will start with Council Member McDonald.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Though it's only been a short week since our last meeting, I do want to recognize a couple liaison efforts. One, I've just been assigned to another task regarding the homelessness and the continuum of care. There's a subgroup called Homeless Management Information Systems. That's the HMIS system for identification of the people in needs in the homelessness. And they're doing an effort to strengthen that system and ask for volunteers to work on that committee. And it's essentially a data committee. And as those of us who were at the last Mayors and Council Association meeting, where we had nationally recognized homelessness expert Ian DeYoung in the room, and he gave a great presentation to all the council members across the county. One of the key points is you must work with actual data. You must know what your needs are. And so these two things tie together. I think that if we can get the county to have a better understanding of the needs and the data behind that, we'll be in a better place regarding homelessness. Also, just as an aside, I attended the Know Before You Grow workshop in the past week with Carl Elefante. He's nationally recognized on green building and historical issues. And if anyone wants to become more familiar with the general plan process and the background that goes into what Petaluma's effort is, there's no better way than to attend each of these Know Before You Grow forums. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And before I go on with council comment, I see the city attorney has his hand up.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. Just briefly, I wanted to respond to Mr. Hanania's comments. I'm glad he clarified his request because we weren't able to tell what he was seeking from his comments at the prior public comment, which you referred, and I actually sent him a message requesting clarification. He left me some messages I still couldn't tell. So now we can tell that he's seeking a proposed estimate for repairs at the police department for $500,000, and if and that's clear, and we can respond. And if such a document exists, we'll be happy to provide it to him. So just want to let the council know. And,
okay.
and I think I appreciate Mr. Hanani clarifying his request because otherwise we were unable to respond. So thank you.
Thank you. And then now we'll continue with council comment and go to Council Member Healy.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Good. And then we move on to Vice Mayor Barnacle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I have one meeting to report out on. I sent a brief synopsis of the meeting I had on the North Bay Water Reuse Authority. For those in the public who aren't aware, this is a group of water and wastewater agencies from Sonoma, Marin, and Napa counties who work together to seek funding from the state and federal government. And we were reviewing the priorities of Sonoma County and other, and then also the other agencies. There was multiple different potential priorities that the city could and that the agencies could choose. Overwhelmingly, all the agencies agree we need to stay focused on recycled water, and including potentially looking at potable water processing using the recycled water. So it sounds like there's a lot of interest in keeping the group going, and the expectation that there's going to be more funding coming for recycled water projects in the state and possibly from the federal government as well. some of the things to highlight, I think Petaluma, there was a couple of times where people were really interested in some of the program policies Petaluma has, and I just want to reiterate that I think our wastewater team out there is doing a fantastic job. There was also some interest in stormwater trash capture, as well as potentially looking at floating solar, both between the water agencies, but also with ag customers that are in the county. And that's probably the highlights of that meeting. The other update, I got a tour with Councilmember Postake of the Ellis Creek facility. It was really interesting to see the different pieces of it and to hear all the details that go into running that. And I'm always excited and impressed by the work that goes into keeping the city running. So.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember King?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I have no liaison report this week, continuing from last week. Transit advisory was canceled for the month. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I've had 2 liaison assignments, both the having to do with the Sonoma County Transportation Authority and the Regional Climate Protection Agency, where I am a member. Last week, I'm on the ad hoc committee for the future of transit, and we did have a meeting last Thursday. We met with one of the transit agencies and got a report back from our 3 local agencies about the consolidation. The goal here is really to make the user experience more fluid, so that people don't know whether they're calling Petaluma Transit or they're calling Sonoma County Transit, that they all can interact. And so to make that experience. So we are moving forward with that project. This afternoon, I did have a board meeting for the same group, and honestly, it just ended, so I'm still processing what we discussed. So we got an update on the Sonoma Climate Mobilization Strategy, and we're adding building decarbonization to our current work plan. And we did all agree that we would create an ad hoc committee of our group to discuss funding options for climate. So whether that's something on the ballot in 22 or 24. So we agreed on that. And what else did we do? Those are probably the 2 highlights. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Postake?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had a meeting of the Climate Action Commission where we had a presentation by COTS and the Downtown Streets team, as well as some reports of our ad hoc committees, and a long discussion of goals and priorities, which I'll just say that the winner in that regard of goals and priorities to pass on to us here at City Council was to emphasize the education and engagement of our fellow citizens in climate action. And this leads directly to the other major topic of discussion, which is the Cool Cities Challenge, which we are investigating very closely and having our first meeting with if you will, a coach from the Cool Cities Initiative tomorrow. That's all I have.
Thank you. This is good. So I want to just say that we had a meeting of the Sonoma County mayors and council members this past Thursday, and Kevin McDonald was selected as one of the 2 people to fill a position on the newly created Measure O Oversight Committee. This is over the Sheriff's Department, I think, or is that, no, that's P. O was the mental health. Yes, okay, good. There's so many committees and commissions now, it's hard to remember which letter is for which one. At some point, they're gonna have to change the name so that people will understand what it is there for. And Ben Ford was the other person from Katati who was appointed. The mayor of Roanoke Park was appointed to the opening on the Golden Gate Bridge Transportation District. And the remote access network was filled by Cotati Mayor John Moore. And Patrick Slater got the LAFCO alternate position. And the Sonoma County Oversight Board Committee alternate position went to Ozzie Jimenez from Healdsburg, and John Sawyer from Santa Rosa is the North Bay Division League of California Cities position, filling the one that was vacated by Rachel Hundley. So that is all I need to report today, and there will be no city manager comment this evening. So with that, we're on to the consent calendar. And this item is a resolution approving the contract between the City of Petaluma and the County of Sonoma Community Development Commission for the Homeless Emergency Aid Program, HEAP, capital funding, and authorizing the city manager to execute a sub-recipient agreement with the Downtown Streets team and document for the purchase of a van for use in the Petaluma Cahoots program. Is there anyone who wants to speak to this item on the council? I'm not seeing any hands up. So I will ask our city clerk if she has received any correspondence on this issue.
Madam Mayor, we received 3 public comments which are posted with the agenda packet.
Thank you. So now we will see if there's any public discussion for attendees to this meeting. So I will ask our moderator to ask.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Members of the public wishing to speak on consent calendar only items, please raise your hand now in Zoom and you'll be called on in turn. I am looking through the list and I do not see any hands raised, Madam Mayor, so we'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. With that, we'll close public comment, and I will, Councilmember Healy.
So I'd like to move approval.
Okay, do we have a second? I see Councilmember McDonald's hand up. So the motion by Healy and the council, and the second by McDonald, and we'll have a roll call vote.
Barrett,
Yes.
Barnacle,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Healy,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
McDonald,
Yes.
Hosake.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we're on to new business, and this is the resolution appointing individuals to city committees and commissions. So we have several committee. This is an iterative process where we go through each of the different committees and commissions. And but before we start with the voting, I would like to see if there's anyone in the public who has applied who would like to speak to this item. And, you know, I guess we're opening public comment on this item. So I guess you don't have to actually only be an applicant, but usually that's the process. But I will ask our city clerk if she's received any emails on, or any correspondence on this item.
Madam Mayor, we received 8 public comments which are posted with the agenda packet.
Okay, thank you. So I'll ask our moderator to see if there's anyone in attendance who would like to speak to this item.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can already see a hand raised, so I'll just put the screen up and ask people if they're interested in speaking on this item. Please raise your hand in Zoom and we will be called on in turn. Speakers are encouraged to be respectful. Threats of violence and obscenity are grounds for removal from the meeting. And also just want to draw attention to this last bullet here. Speakers, please keep on topic. If there are off-topic comments, you will be muted. So I see one hand raised right now, and that's Cheryl Coldiron. So Cheryl, you can unmute and begin your comment.
Good evening, Mayor Barrett and City Council members. I am applying for an appointment to the Public Art Committee, and I hope the 3rd time is the charm. I was born here, yet I have lived in other cities and countries. I am familiar with public art installations here and around the world. I earn a living as a credentialed art teacher, and I recently served as a juror for the Paint Petaluma exhibit through the joint efforts of PPAC and the Petaluma Art Center. Throughout my life, I have been involved in various civic organizations. As a child, I belonged to the Petaluma 4-H Club and exhibited in the local fairs. After graduating from college in Sacramento, I was active with the Chamber of Commerce, the Ballet Association, and the YMCA. When I returned to Petaluma, I became a volunteer at my children's schools and the Boys and Girls Club. I served as a board member for the Petaluma National Little League, and I've been a board member and president of the Petaluma Women's Club. In my professional life, I've been elected president of our Teachers Association for multiple years, and I sit on our site council and leadership team. I have demonstrated leadership and collaboration skills through several elected positions, and I am known for being fair, working well with others, and listening very carefully to all sides of an issue. For several years, I've attended City Council and Public Art Committee meetings. In fact, I've attended about 90% of the PPAC meetings, so I am familiar with past and current issues facing the Public Art Committee. My objectives for an appointment to this committee include engaging more residents in the overall public art process and making sure that public art is successful here in Petaluma. Public art should add positive energy and be relevant to our wonderful river town because art becomes integrated into our city's history and culture. I hope you agree that I am well qualified to be appointed and that you will consider me for one of the two openings. I would be honored to serve Petaluma. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. And that is the last hand raised, so we'll turn it back to you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So with that, we'll close public comment on this item and bring it back to the council, and the city clerk is going to be doing a lot of work on this one. So because we're in a virtual setting for this meeting, usually we fill out our forms and hand them down, and then if there has to be a revote, we take it. We're going to do each position, like the airport commission. Well, that one is a bad example. Let's say the pedestrian and bike committee. If we don't get two people right off who have the top two votes, we will take a second round before we move on to the next item, but we'll just go down the list. So the first one is the airport commission. So did you want to say anything more about the process, city clerk?
I can skip over. My presentation was just a brief overview of the staff report, which you've all seen. So we can jump right into the voting. And if you can see, this is the best way I can share my screen. I know you can see the slide layout, but you can see this slide pretty big, right? The airport commission with the names?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to call roll call vote in the order of the virtual dais. And I ask that you give the two names that you're voting for the airport commission. So start with Councilmember McDonald.
Margand and Dustin.
Councilmember Healy.
Margand and Dusty.
Councilmember King.
Margand, Dusty.
Vice Mayor Barnacle.
Margand and Dusty.
Councilmember Fisher.
Morgan and Dusty.
Councilmember Posake.
Margand and Dusty.
Mayor Barrett.
Margand and Dusty.
Unanimously, Margand and Dusty for the airport commission. Next up, the Historic and Cultural Preservation Committee. Again, you're voting for two. Councilmember McDonald.
Caputo Pintangaro.
Councilmember Healy.
Pitangaro and Caputo.
Councilmember King.
Caputo, Pitangaro.
Vice Mayor Barnacle.
Caputo and Pitangaro.
Councilmember Fisher.
Caputo and Pitangaro.
Councilmember Posake.
Caputo and Pitangaro.
Vice Mayor Barrett.
No, I think I'm the mayor.
Sorry, Mayor Barrett. Reading my notes out of order here. Thank you.
That's okay.
Mayor Barrett.
Caputo and Pitangaro.
Thank you. Unanimously, Caputo and Pitangaro for Historical and Cultural Preservation Committee. Next up, Measure U Oversight Committee. This is for 4 positions. We received 4 applications. Councilmember McDonald.
O'Brien,
Excuse me, could I interrupt? I'm sorry. This was a situation where we got fewer people than there are openings. But in the time since the applications closed, we did get another application from a member of the public. My personal feeling about this is that we should vote on the people who sent in applications prior to the deadline, and then we should reopen any committee or commission that has not that still has openings. But I don't know if anybody else on the council has an opinion or strong feeling other than that. And I can't really see, so if the moderator could tell me if any of the council members has their hand up to call on.
There are no hands currently up.
Okay, all right, so then we will, I would like to propose that we're just voting on the names that we have gotten as of the deadline. So thank you, please continue.
Okay, and just to confirm, I did reach out to that member who applied late and told her we'd bring that application forward at a future date. We'd be in communication.
Thank you.
Councilmember McDonald.
thank you. O'Brien, Peters, Brown, Fishman.
Councilmember Healy.
O'Brien, Peters, Brown, Fishman.
Councilmember King.
O'Brien, Peters, Brown, Fishman.
Vice Mayor Barnacle.
Fishman, Brown, Peters, O'Brien.
Councilmember Fisher.
O'Brien, Peters, Brown, and Fishman.
Councilmember Posake.
O'Brien, Peters, Brown, Fishman.
Mayor Barrett.
O'Brien, Peters, Brown, Fishman.
Unanimously, the vote is for O'Brien, Peters, Brown, and Fishman for the Measure U Oversight Committee. Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee. In this case, there's 3 applications and 2 vacancies. So please, we'll start going down the dais first. Give us 2, and if there's a tie, we'll go back and do a tiebreaker vote. Councilmember McDonald.
Tar and Camarda.
Councilmember Healy.
Tar and Camarda.
Councilmember King.
Tar, Camarda.
Vice Mayor Barnacle.
Tar and Camarda.
Councilmember Fisher.
Tar and Camarda.
Councilmember Posake.
Tar, Camarda.
Mayor Barrett.
Tar and Camarda.
Unanimously, Tar and Camarda for Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee.
Quick question on that, Kendall. There's 2 different terms there. Are we supposed to appoint one to one term and one to another term, or how does that work?
Thank you. We do need to differentiate that. We'll go down the list. We'll, if this works for the mayor, I can ask who gets the full term, and we can just go down the dais and ask. Does that work?
Yeah, usually how we do that is the person who gets the most votes gets the full term, but since it's the same vote for both of them, I would just recommend that the person who's seeking the reappointment get the full term and the new member get the shorter term. But I think we should go down the list and just ask people, I guess ask who should get the full term.
Okay, we'll do that. So if you can just give one name for who should get the full term. Councilmember McDonald.
Tar.
Councilmember Healy.
Tar.
Councilmember King.
Tar.
Vice Mayor Barnacle.
Camarda.
Councilmember Fisher.
Camarda.
Councilmember Posake.
Camarda.
Mayor Barrett.
Tar.
Majority goes for Tar, so Tar will get the full term. Planning Commission, again, we received 4 applications. There are 3 seats. So we'll start first, if you can give us all 3 names that you'd like to vote for, and if there's a tie, we'll go back and do a second round. Councilmember McDonald.
Alonzo, Bauer, Weissman.
Councilmember Healy.
Alonso, Bauer, Weissman.
Councilmember King.
Bauer, Alonzo, Weissman.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Weissman, Bauer, Alonso.
Councilmember Fisher,
Bauer, Weissman, and Zavislak.
Councilmember Posake,
Alonso, Bauer, Weissman.
Mayor Barrett.
Alonso and Bauer.
Are you only voting for two?
Yes.
Okay. Majority favors Alonso, Bauer, and Weissman for Planning Commission. Public Art Committee, you're asked to vote for two. There's a note on here, Derek Fagerstrom and Rain Howe. This was their second choice if they're not appointed to their first choice, which we're voting on later. If you could please give two names. And there's a note on the bottom, Catherine Blakesley, her application was included in the agenda packet, but upon review, we found she does not live within the urban growth boundary, which is a requirement for this committee. Therefore, she's not eligible. Again, you're voting for two. Councilmember McDonald,
Mackin, Cold Iron.
Councilmember Healy,
Cold Iron and Mackin.
Councilmember King,
Mackin, Cold Iron.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Fagerstrom, Howe.
Councilmember Fisher,
Mackin and Fagerstrom.
Councilmember Posake,
Mackin and Cold Iron.
Mayor Barrett.
Mackin and Fagerstrom.
Mackin and Cold Iron received 4 votes each, which is the majority. Mackin and Cold Iron for Public Art Committee. Recreation, Music, and Parks Commission. I'm going to vote for 3. Councilmember McDonald,
Kelly, Rizzo, Earl.
Councilmember Healy,
Chisholm, Simons, and Kelly.
Councilmember King,
Kelly, Rizzo, Simons, Earl.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Simmons, Earl, and Chisholm.
Councilmember Fisher,
Chisholms, Rizzo, Simmons, and Earl.
Councilmember Posake,
Chisholm, Earl, and Kelly.
Mayor Barrett.
Kelly, Earl, and Fagerstrom.
Just a moment to tally these up. We're doing 3 positions. Kelly, Rizzo, Simons, and Earl received the majority votes. Senior Advisory Committee. You'll vote for 3. McDonald,
For Kogadal, Avery, and Suda.
Councilmember Healy,
Kogadal, Souza, and Avery.
Councilmember King,
Ogadall, Souza, Avery.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Kogadal, Avery, Souza.
Councilmember Fisher,
Kogadal, Avery, Souza.
Councilmember Posake,
Ogadal, Avery, Souza.
Mayor Barrett.
Ogadall, Avery, Souza.
Unanimously, Kogadal, Avery, Souza for Senior Advisory Committee. Technology Advisory Committee, you're going to vote for 2. And I was just checking. Rick was appointed to Planning Commission. He did not apply for both. This was his second choice. Councilmember McDonald,
Floyd Gibson,
Councilmember Healy,
Lloyd Kirshenman.
Councilmember King,
Gibson, Lloyd.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Lloyd Kirschenman,
Councilmember Fisher,
Lloyd and Gibson,
Councilmember Posake,
Lloyd and Kirschenman.
Mayor Barrett.
Lloyd and Kirschenman.
Lloyd and Kirschenman received the most votes for Technology Advisory Committee. Transit Advisory Committee. Again, I did make notes here. These were second choices at the bottom for Cody and Paul. You'll vote for up to 3. As I said, these individuals, just go back and look really quick to see if they were appointed. Cody was not appointed.
Pitangara was.
Pitangara was. Yeah, so I'm just gonna take that note off to make it clearer there. Okay, Councilmember McDonald,
Pastrick, Tar, and Chisholm.
Councilmember Healy,
Pastrick, Tar, and Chisholm.
Councilmember King,
Pastrick, Tar, Chisholm.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Pastrick, Tar, and Chisholm,
Councilmember Fisher,
Pastrick, Tar, and Chisholm,
Councilmember Posake,
Pastrick, Tar, Chisholm.
Mayor Barrett.
Pastrick, Tar, and Chisholm.
Unanimously, Pastrick, Tar, and Chisholm for Transit Advisory Committee. Tree Advisory Committee, you're going to vote for 2. Councilmember McDonald,
Cover, Form B.
Councilmember Healy,
Cover and Formby.
Councilmember King,
Over, Formby.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Cover and Formby,
Councilmember Fisher,
Formby and Cylinder,
Councilmember Posake,
Cover and Formby.
Mayor Barrett.
Cover and Formby.
Majority favors Cover and Formby for Tree Advisory Committee. And the final vote here for Youth Commission. I'm going back to see Earl, she was appointed to RMPC. This was a second choice, not that she was looking for both. So you can vote for up to 4, but again, I have no indication from Stacy Earl that she'd like to be on both. Councilmember McDonald,
I'm just going to vote yes. I think we should let her make her choice. Kerr, Frunberg, Howe, Ingman, Earl.
okay. Councilmember Healy,
Same here, Kerr, Freiberg, Howe, Earl, Engman.
Councilmember King,
Freiberg, Howe, Engman, and Earl.
Vice Mayor Barnacle,
Kerr, Freiberg, Howe, Engman, and Earl.
Councilmember Fisher,
Kerr, Freiberg, Howe, Ingman, and Earl.
Councilmember Posake,
Kerr, Freiberg, Howe, Ingman, Earl.
and Mayor Barrett.
Kerr, Freiberg, Howe, Ingman, and Earl.
Unanimously, Kerr, Freiberg, Howe, Ingman, and Earl for Youth Commission. That takes care of the voting, and we'll fill in those names on the resolution attached to the staff report. I think at this time, Mayor Barrett's going to call for a final motion to be made.
Right.
I'll move.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. This is Assistant City Manager. Could I jump in for 1 second?
Certainly.
Sorry about that. I wanted to just clarify with the city clerk. So with the Measure U Oversight Committee being a new committee, I think we need to establish the terms of the various committee members because we need the terms to be staggered. So if, Kendall, if you could maybe comment on how that will be done, or if we need another vote on to establish the differing terms of those 4 members for that committee.
Excuse me, Kendall, I'm sorry, but I think the term ending that we were given in our packet was all the same date.
Brian, can you clarify what is the the 2 terms that we're appointing for?
Yeah, so I believe, and I'm going from memory here, but I believe because the ordinance specifies that there cannot be all of the terms ending at the same time, we had established in the resolution establishing the committee that there would be 3 terms initially with 4 years and 2 terms with 2 years, so that there would be kind of this alternating, you know, every 2 years, certain members would be rotating off of the committee. So I'm not sure if that was clear. It sounds like maybe it wasn't in the packet. But if we go with everybody with the same terms, then all 4 of those members will be rotating off at the same time. So we may want to clarify that one of the members has a 2-year term, and then if we subsequently fill that 5th slot, that person would also have a 2-year term, so that we have the alternating 4 4-year terms moving forward, since this is a brand new committee.
So I would like to ask a clarifying question. Perhaps the city manager, assistant city manager knows. What is the scheduled or assumptive time for the first meeting of this oversight committee?
I don't believe we have a date scheduled for the first meeting, but the committee does begin on July 1st, and there are quarterly meetings. So I don't believe we've established that formal schedule yet, but they would be happening about 4 times a year.
So I guess what I would propose, and everybody else should weigh in, is that we put out another request, and at a meeting in July, we take whatever applicants we have and evaluate them and vote on them, and at that time make the decision as to who gets the 2 years and who gets the 4 years. But with that, I will call on the rest of the council who have their hands up. But thank you for pointing that out. Vice Mayor?
I was going to make a motion, but are we basically punting on what the terms are at this point?
That's my recommendation, because we haven't got the 5th person, and it just seems to me that when we have the whole roster, it would be a better thing to do it at that time.
Makes sense to me. I'll make a motion to approve the appointments to committees and commissions.
Thank you. And a second from, I think, Posake did the second. Okay.
May I ask?
Yes.
Can I just ask for a staff reading that the resolution is either modified to this or doesn't preclude this in the resolution write-up that we're going to vote on?
Does not include the terms, excuse me, does not include the terms for the Measure U Oversight Committee. And we can add a note on the resolution that the terms for that committee will be established when all 5 seats are filled. Is that sufficient?
Yes.
Yes.
Is that okay with the maker of the motion?
Yes.
Okay, and Councilmember King?
Yeah, I would add, we're presuming we're going to get more applications, and it seems like we are, but we might want to account for that fact that perhaps people will reconsider and not apply. So it should be when we get additional applications, or if we don't get them by a certain date, we make a decision.
Yes, so that we can have this in July is what the vote in July is what I was hoping. Okay, is that friendly, Vice Mayor?
Yes, accepted. Thank you, Council Member.
Okay, so with that, I guess do we need a vote? Yes, we need. It's a resolution. Yes, we need a vote on that.
Barrett?
Yes.
Barnacle?
Yes.
Fisher?
Yes.
Healy?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
McDonald?
Yes.
Posake?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, well, thank you. That was very well done. I appreciate that, City Clerk. So with that, our meeting is over at 6:45. So thank you.
Good night.
And we have another meeting next Monday. So see you in a week. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Good night.
Everyone.
Bye.